I saw a girl from my art class being assaulted by a man in strange clothing. I stepped in, saved her, and we called the police. But the very next day, she turned the tables on me, accusing me of being the one who had attacked her. She claimed I had forced her to lie the day before. Because of her accusation, the police took me away, and I lost my guaranteed acceptance to Peking University. My father, who was disabled, was so devastated and desperate to prove my innocence that he wrote a letter in his own blood before taking his life in front of that girl's house. Eventually, due to a lack of evidence, I was released. But by then, my spot at the university was gone. I had missed the college entrance exams, and my life was effectively over. I spent the next 6 months in a numb daze, just drifting. Then, one afternoon I saw her. She was walking hand in hand with the very same man who had attacked her that night. Overcome with rage, I rushed toward them and confronted her, demanding to know why she had repaid my help with such a devastating betrayal. The man shoved me, and I stumbled back into the road, right into the path of a speeding car. The last thing I remember was the impact. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the night of the incident. I should have been dead, so I couldn't understand why I was hearing those same cries for help from 6 months ago. Not far from where I stood, in the darkness of the bushes, a man in bizarre clothes was attacking a helpless woman. The scene wasn't just familiar, it was an exact replay of that terrible night. I stood frozen on the pavement, my mind reeling. A car swerved around me, flashing its hazard lights and laying on the horn, which finally jolted me back to reality. I quickly crossed to the other side of the street. In my previous life, I had recognized the girl as Chloe from the art class. Driven by a surge of what I thought was righteous justice, I had charged forward and thrown my heavy backpack at the man's head. He had clutched his head with one hand, pulled up his pants with the other, and cursed at me as he ran off. He even managed to shout a threat over his shoulder, "Leo from Class 1, right? I'll remember you. You just wait." I later learned he was Mark, a notorious campus bully. At the time, I didn't take his threat seriously. I had taken off my own shirt to cover Chloe, did my best to comfort her, and encouraged her to call the police. When I got home that night, I proudly told my dad about my heroic deed. My dad had lost his leg years ago while standing up for someone else, an act he never once regretted. He had patted me on the shoulder, his face beaming with pride. "You're truly my son," he'd said. "Good job." But the next day at school, Chloe arrived with the police, and they came straight for me. She was a drama student, and she put on the performance of a lifetime, her crying so pitiful and convincing that it broke everyone's heart to see. "It was Leo who assaulted me yesterday," she sobbed, glaring at me with pure hatred. "He threatened me too. He said if I told anyone, my whole family would die." She wasn't finished. "The worst part is, he tried to play the hero afterward, made me give a false testimony, and even wanted my family to present him with a banner of honor in front of the whole school." I felt as if lightning had struck me. I was completely stunned. It wasn't until the police were leading me away that I found my voice. "It wasn't me! I saved you! I chased that man away and comforted you. How could you repay kindness with such betrayal?" Her eyes, red from crying, met mine. "A girl's innocence is everything," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I wouldn't joke about this." And just like that, everyone believed her. I became the universally condemned monster. They say that if 3 people repeat a lie, it becomes the truth. But in my case, it was the entire school and soon the entire internet siding with her, the supposed victim. Netizens launched a vicious campaign against me and my father. They even twisted the story of my father's past heroism, claiming he had only saved that child years ago because he knew the family was wealthy, and he was hoping for a reward. I lost my guaranteed admission to Peking University and was expelled from school. That's when my father, seeing no other way to prove my innocence, wrote a letter in his own blood and committed suicide in front of Chloe's house. The resulting public outcry was enormous, forcing the police to reopen the case. I was eventually released, declared innocent. But it was too late. No university would accept me, and more importantly, I had lost my only family. For half a year I drifted through life in a fog of grief and despair. Then one day, near the entrance of a residential community, I saw her. Chloe was walking hand in hand with Mark, the very man who had assaulted her. A fire of pure rage ignited inside me. I stormed over to them and demanded to know why she had destroyed my life. She looked at me with complete indifference. "I'm a nobody," she said flatly. "How could I possibly stand up to the heir of the Kim group?" she continued, her voice devoid of any emotion. "If I didn't do what he said, my whole family would have been killed. I had no choice but to frame you." I screamed at her, my voice raw with pain. "You ruined my entire life. Do you know that?" She shrugged. "Aren't you still alive? What's the big deal about not going to Peking University? You'd just end up working for rich people like him anyway." I could barely speak. "But my dad is dead." She showed not a flicker of guilt. "Everyone dies eventually. Dying early just means reincarnating early." I was so consumed by anger that I lunged forward and grabbed her by the throat. Mark, who had been silent until now, grabbed me by the collar. "You poor loser," he snarled. "Don't touch my girlfriend." He shoved me with all his strength, and I stumbled backward into the street, directly into the path of a speeding car. The impact sent me flying onto the curb, where I died. Now, hearing those same cries for help cutting through the night air, I let out a cold, bitter laugh. I would not be so foolish this time. Instead of running toward the trouble, I turned and walked to the night market. My dad was there, busy at his small stall, grilling sausages for a line of customers. I rushed over and started helping him. My mom had died when I was born, and my dad never remarried. After his leg was broken in that long-ago act of bravery, no company would hire him, and he was too proud to accept help from the family of the person he had saved. So every night, he stood here at this stall, selling grilled sausages to support us, and put me through school. Seeing his thin, tired figure hunched over the grill filled my heart with a familiar ache. In my last life, I ruined everything for you. This time I won't let that happen. I will change our fate, get into the best university, find the best job, and give you the peaceful, comfortable life you deserve. But things didn't go as I had planned. The very next day, at the school gate, Chloe grabbed me and slapped me hard across the face. "Why did you ignore me last night?" she demanded. I took a deep breath and, without hesitating, slapped her back. Being a guy, my strength was far greater than hers, and the force of the blow almost knocked her off her feet. She stood there, stunned, covering her cheek with her hand. You dare hit me!" she stammered. "I'm not your punching bag," I retorted. "Do I just have to take it because you decided to hit me?" Her shock turned back to anger. "Why didn't you help me yesterday?" she screamed. "I have no idea what you're talking about," I said, my voice cold and distant. "Class is about to start. Please stop bothering me." I clutched my books and tried to walk past her into the school. She rushed up behind me, snatched the books from my arms, and threw them to the ground, stomping on them furiously. "Are you working with him? Are you spying on me for him?" she shrieked. "You're disgusting, just like him. You both deserve to die." I shoved her away and bent down to pick up my dirtied books. "I have no idea what you're talking about," I repeated firmly. She seemed to lose all control. "Because you ignored me. You ruined my entire life. Don't you realize you were wrong?" She vented all her pent-up fury on me, charging like a raging bull, pushing me down and clawing at my face. Of course, I wasn't going to just let her attack me. I fought back, using my hands and feet to push her away. She was relentless, lunging at me again and again, until a group of passing students finally rushed over to pull us apart and call for the dean. The dean was a tall, dark-skinned man whom all the students feared. He didn't even have to speak. His mere presence was enough to command silence. In my previous life, when no one believed me, he was the only one who had tried to comfort my helpless father. His sharp gaze swept over the two of us. "What is going on here?" he boomed. "The college entrance exam is just a month away, and you two are trying to cause trouble for the entire school?" He turned his glare on Chloe. "Leo has already secured his early admission. And you barely got a certificate from a third-tier art college. What are you making a scene for?" Chloe immediately erupted. "Director, I may be an art student, but I want to study hard too. Just because Leo got into Peking University doesn't mean you can cover for him." The dean's voice was stern. "What cover-up? I don't cover for anyone. Both of you, to my office, now." In his office, Chloe launched into an exaggerated and twisted version of the previous night's events. The dean listened patiently before summarizing. "So, you're saying Leo saw you being assaulted but chose to ignore it. You got upset, confronted him at the school gate, and it escalated into a physical fight?" Chloe nodded tearfully. I finally spoke. "First of all, I didn't hear any cries for help. And even if I had, and even if I knew it was you, helping would have been my choice, not my obligation. Your attempt to morally blackmail me now is ridiculous. Thinking of what she had done to me in my past life, I couldn't resist adding a pointed question. What's the matter? Couldn't catch the real attacker, so now you're planning to accuse me of being the one who did it? I wanted to preemptively block every path she might take. Chloe's face turned beet red as she screamed, "You scum! How could you even think that of me? And you call yourself a top student. You're worse than a dog." I remained calm. "No matter how angry you get, I won't admit to something I didn't see or didn't do." She completely lost control and tried to lunge at me again, but the dean's voice cut through the air like a whip. "Enough! If you two can't settle this, we'll call the police. What is wrong with you? Do you think this is a game?" The dean might have just been saying it to shock them into sense, but his words had an immediate effect on Chloe. She went pale, her hands trembling. "If we call the police," she whispered, "my life will be over." I looked at her coldly. "Since you don't want to call the police, then you should keep this to yourself. We're high school students, and our time is precious. Don't waste it." The dean nodded in agreement. "Exactly. It's your choice. Call the police or find another way to settle this." Chloe lowered her head, hesitating. She had made a huge scene at the school gate, and plenty of students had seen and heard everything. In our small town, news like that would spread like wildfire. A girl involved in such a situation would be the subject of gossip and judgment for the rest of her life, making it difficult for her to ever find a husband. More than that, the power of gossip could destroy a person's spirit. After a long, tense silence, she finally looked up and nodded. "Fine," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Let's call the police." After their investigation, I was classified as nothing more than a passerby, not even a witness, and was quickly released. Chloe, however, completely unraveled at the police station. "He definitely saw the attacker but chose to ignore it," she yelled. "He has to be an accomplice. You can't just let him go free." The police officers exchanged bewildered looks, clearly at a loss for how to handle her hysteria. One of them tried to reason with her. "Leo was just passing by. He's not—" Chloe furiously cut him off. "Don't think he's a good person just because he got into Peking University. Maybe he's working with the rapist. They probably plan to take turns on me. People like him should be locked up." She was being completely unreasonable. The officers shook their heads. "Please calm down and stop imagining things. This is a police station, a place of fairness and justice. You can't just accuse people without evidence. According to your own statements, this has nothing to do with Leo, unless you have proof." Her desperation was palpable. "I saw him. He glanced in my direction. He definitely saw everything." The dean started to speak up for me, but I shot him a quick look. If he defended me now, Chloe would only become more convinced that he was covering for me. I looked at her steadily, my voice firm. "I already told you I didn't see anything. It was dark. How can you be so sure I saw what was happening? Do you have X-ray vision?" She was adamant. "No, you definitely saw it. You're an accomplice, an accomplice!" The police finally lost their patience. "All right, that's enough. Leo, you can leave. Chloe, you need to stay for further investigation." Chloe refused to accept this. She sat down on the floor, kicking her legs and flailing her arms like a spoiled child having a tantrum. "You just think I'm an ordinary girl with no connections, that I'm easy to bully. He saw me getting assaulted and just walked away." "That's wrong," she wailed. "He let me suffer on purpose. He wanted to see me humiliated. People like him deserve to rot in hell. My life is already ruined, so I'm going to drag someone down with me. Leo can't get away with this." I rubbed my ears, looking at her with exasperation. "So, just because I happened to walk down that particular road, I committed a crime and deserve to die? I'm sure other people walked past that night. Why don't you go find and accuse them?" "Oh, I get it," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You're picking on me because I'm poor, just like you. I don't have anyone powerful to back me up, so you think you can frame me however you want." One of the officers frowned at her. "Chloe, you'd better get up and cooperate with our investigation. Otherwise, your behavior could be considered obstructing official duties, and that's a serious offense." The threat worked. Chloe froze, then quickly scrambled to her feet, awkwardly brushing herself off. I was just too emotional. I didn't mean to obstruct anything. Let's continue. Please continue." I gave her one last, long, hard look before turning to leave. Things were already different from my previous life. I hoped, with all my heart, that everything would now stay on the right track. But the next day, just as school was letting out for the noon break, Chloe brought the police back to the school. I had just stepped out of the classroom building when I saw her walking toward me, flanked by 2 officers. I froze on the spot. The scene was an exact, chilling replica of the one from my last life. Was she really going to put on the same act again? Sure enough, she blocked my path. "Officer," she said, pointing a trembling finger at me. "He's Leo, the one who assaulted me the night before last." I stood there, frozen for a moment, marveling at her audacity. It had been less than 24 hours since she had been at the police station, and she had already completely flipped her story. In the growing crowd of students, I saw him. Mark, the one who had actually attacked her that night. A little farther away, someone had already taken out their phone and started recording. The larger the crowd grew, the straighter Chloe stood, as if claiming to be a victim was no longer a source of shame, but something to be flaunted. "It was him," she declared loudly. "He was the one who tried to assault me that night." The schoolyard was buzzing with not only students, but also parents waiting to pick up their children and curious passers-by, all craning their necks to get a piece of the gossip. "Oh my God, Leo, the top student is a rapist. That can't be true," someone whispered. "Yeah, he's always so polite. How could this happen?" another classmate added. But others were quicker to judge. Some people look righteous on the surface, but are secretly vile. Chloe is the school belle, and she was by her own classmate? The dean took them both to the police station yesterday, so this is what it was all about. Thankfully, not everyone was convinced. "I don't believe Leo would do such a thing," one student said firmly. "He's a guaranteed Peking University student with a bright future ahead of him. Why would he do something so disgusting? I'm on Leo's side." Yeah, me too, another voice chimed in. Honestly, Chloe's private life has always been a bit messy. She's dated countless guys. Who knows who she was trying to seduce this time and it backfired? The crowd was a sea of murmuring voices. But things were already unfolding differently than in my previous life. Last time I had been so nervous and scared that I couldn't defend myself as they dragged me away. Later, Mark had spread vicious rumors about me online, and everyone, including my own classmates, had believed I was guilty. In reality, many people were aware of Chloe's reputation. We lived in the same neighborhood, and I had often seen her with different boys on the way to and from school. I had to thank her for the tantrum she threw at the school gate the day before. It had clearly planted a seed of doubt in my classmates' minds, giving them a reason to think for themselves. Plus, I was much calmer this time. I knew how to explain myself and fight back. Things were slowly starting to change in my favor. I looked at her calmly and asked, "Is the police station your personal playground? Yesterday, your official statement was that I was just a passerby. Today, I've suddenly become the perpetrator?" "It was you who threatened me into saying that," Chloe lied without a flicker of guilt, turning to the police with a desperate plea. "Arrest him now!" As the police moved forward, preparing to handcuff me, a tall figure stepped between us. It was the dean. "I was also at the station yesterday," he said, his voice firm and authoritative. Chloe clearly stated that the attacker was someone else. Now she suddenly changes her statement and wants to cuff a student without any evidence. What about the psychological harm this could cause him? What about the serious trouble this will bring to Leo? Chloe's eyes filled with tears. "Director, you were biased toward Leo yesterday, and you're still biased now. If you keep protecting him like this, the real perpetrator will get away with it." The dean snapped back. "Is this bias? Since yesterday, you've been trying to morally blackmail Leo. Now you're suddenly accusing him of threatening you and claiming he's the attacker. Do you have any evidence? Falsifying testimony is a crime." Chloe broke down into sobs, looking helplessly towards the crowd. The two police officers exchanged an uneasy look. "We are just doing our job, sir," one said to the dean. "Please let us handle this. We can't afford to delay the investigation." I decided to speak up, raising my voice so the entire crowd could hear. "I'm not stopping you from doing your job. I am Leo, a student with guaranteed admission to Peking University. According to Article 236 of our criminal law, rape carries a sentence of 3 to 10 years in prison. Am I supposed to believe that I would give up my prime years of education, the chance to pursue a master's degree and a doctorate, all just to attack you?" I looked directly at Chloe. "Yes, you're considered the school belle, but you are not even remotely my type. I have never liked you, and I never will." A wave of humiliation washed over Chloe's face. She stood there, trembling, biting her lip so hard it looked like it might bleed as she stared at me with pure, unadulterated hatred. The crowd erupted into a fresh wave of chatter. "Yeah, I remember Chloe used to have a crush on Leo," a girl in the crowd remarked. "But Leo never paid attention to girls. He was always completely focused on studying." Another student added, "He's the top student in our school, always busy with competitions and exams. Why would he possibly be interested in an art student like Chloe, who's terrible at academics?" "Exactly," a third voice agreed. "Top students never go for the type who only know how to dress up." Chloe, realizing she was losing the crowd, started crying again, trying to regain their sympathy. "Classmates, don't be fooled by Leo's good student act," she sobbed. "We live in the same neighborhood. He often tried to talk to me on the way home, brought me breakfast, and even gave me gifts. But I didn't like him. I rejected him, and he couldn't handle the rejection. He went crazy. That's why he assaulted me." Before anyone could react to her new story, I raised my voice again. "You say I liked you, brought you breakfast, and gave you gifts. Where is your evidence? What date? What time? What exactly did I give you? You'd better be specific. And remember, everything you're saying right now in front of teachers and the police, can and will be used as evidence in court. Chloe sniffled, avoiding the question. She turned to the police. "Officer, this person won't admit to anything unless you take him away first." I turned to the officers myself. "I will cooperate with your investigation, but there's no need for handcuffs, is there? Or have you already decided that I'm guilty?" One of the officers replied hesitantly, Not yet. We're just asking you to assist with the investigation." I nodded. "I'll go with you, but I'll also be posting everything that has happened today online." In fact, I had already registered an Instagram account the day before and had shared the entire story up to that point. It just hadn't gained much traction yet. I had also found a few pictures of Chloe being overly intimate with various boys and had secretly posted them from an alternate account. Tonight, I planned to continue writing, to get the truth out to the public before they had a chance to gang up on me, like last time. The two police officers were taken aback. "It's your right to express yourself," one said, "but you still have to come with us now." "Fine," I replied calmly. "I'll go with you." Sitting in the back of the police car, my mind flashed back to my previous life. Back then, they had taken me to the station in handcuffs, and Chloe had demanded a sky-high compensation of 500,000 yen. My dad and I barely made ends meet selling grilled sausages at the night market, earning just enough for my tuition and our living expenses. There was no way we could have come up with that kind of money. That demand was the final straw that broke my father. With no education and no idea how to fight the system, he had written that desperate letter in his own blood, begging the school to clear my name before he ended his life. Even after his death, when I was finally released, my admission to Peking University was revoked. No school wanted me. I became a pariah, despised by everyone. This time it would be different. Chloe and I were brought into the same interrogation room. The two officers left to get something, leaving us alone for a few moments. I studied her face, making her squirm under my gaze. "Let me guess why you suddenly changed your story," I said quietly. Her face tensed up. "Stop talking nonsense. Who changed their story? Yesterday I was just scared of your threats. That's why I said you were a passerby." "Really?" I smiled faintly, my eyes locked on hers. "Or maybe someone came to see you. After weighing your options, you figured the Kim family's heir could give you everything you wanted. So you decided to frame me and make me the scapegoat. That way you'd get compensation from my family and also get closer to the young master. 2 birds with 1 stone, right?" Her face flushed a deep red. She stammered, "Stop making things up. I didn't do that." Just then, from outside the door, I heard Mark's distinctive voice. I would never forget his taunt from my past life. "Poor loser. Don't touch my girlfriend." Why was he here? It wasn't hard to guess. He was clearly pulling the strings from the school gate all the way to the police station. When the officers returned, my eyes met Mark's through the open doorway. He gave me a smug, triumphant grin. I smiled back calmly. In my previous life, I was just an inexperienced teenager, terrified and overwhelmed by the 2 officers interrogating me. I had been so scared that I couldn't think straight, and, under their manipulative questioning, I ended up saying many things that were used against me. This time, I was armed with the confidence of knowing the truth, and was determined not to repeat the same mistakes. So, when they tried to lead my testimony, I simply refused to answer, sticking to one simple fact. I never saw Chloe that night. After a long time of getting nowhere, the officers grew irritated. One of them shouted, "Do you not understand where you are? This is the police station. Keep playing dumb, and when we find evidence, you'll suffer for it." The other officer tried a different approach, the good cop routine. "Look, if you just admit it now, compensate her, and settle this privately, you can go back to school like nothing ever happened. Isn't that better for everyone?" But the case was already filed. There was no settling it privately now. I knew that if I kept insisting I never saw her, they would eventually have to investigate Mark. But Mark was the heir to the Kim family, the most powerful family in the city. He would never let himself go to jail, and his family would never allow it. That meant I was destined to be the scapegoat. I looked at the officers, my expression calm and unwavering. The time Chloe claims the assault happened was the exact time I was walking home from school. There are surveillance cameras at the school exit and at the gate of my community. It takes me about 15 minutes to walk home. If I were to assault her, 15 minutes wouldn't be enough time, would it? Beyond that logical defense, I had two trump cards: public opinion online and my connection to Peking University. I planned to fully utilize the internet to go on the offensive, not giving them a chance to pin false charges on me. If things escalated, I wouldn't hesitate to seek help from the university. In my last life, I hadn't thought to use these resources, and I had missed my best chance to fight back, ultimately becoming the villain in everyone's eyes. The two police officers exchanged a look. One of them went out to make a report and returned a few minutes later. "Thank you for your cooperation," he said stiffly. "You may go." Seeing that I was about to leave, Chloe lost it completely, screaming hysterically, "Why are you letting him go? He's the one who assaulted me. He must be punished. I want compensation. I want him in jail. I won't accept anything less." I turned to her, my voice cold. "Chloe, yesterday at this very station you admitted I was just a passerby. Now you're pointing the finger at me again. Have you thought about how ridiculous and contradictory you look right now? You're acting like someone with issues," I finished, pointing a finger at my head. She stomped her feet and cursed. "I told you, you threatened me." I just looked at her. "Where's your proof?" She panicked, her eyes darting toward Mark, who was still lingering outside. I glanced at him too. His face was a mask of fury. I went straight to the school gate and waited quietly for about 10 minutes. When school let out for the afternoon, students began streaming out, and they all froze when they saw me standing there. I spread my arms wide and shouted, "Leo is back!" The more cheerful and carefree I acted, the more it would underscore my innocence. Many of my classmates immediately gathered around me, bombarding me with questions. I smiled and said excitedly, "The police investigated it thoroughly, and it has nothing to do with me. They even apologized for wasting my entire afternoon." A wave of relieved cheers erupted from the students. That evening, I skipped dinner and went out to make some calls. I contacted a professor from Peking University and told them everything that had happened over the past few days. Then, I went to an internet cafe and posted a detailed, word-for-word account of my experience at the police station. Many netizens left comments expressing sympathy, saying how heartbreaking it was that I had to deal with this right before the college entrance exams, and encouraging me to stay focused. Some were furious on my behalf, calling Chloe a lunatic, but I had underestimated the forces I was up against. That very night, my name was pushed onto the trending searches. The headlines were brutal. "High school boy assaults school belle, uses guaranteed admission to molest female student." This time, unlike in my previous life, they had deliberately left out the words Peking University. They were smart enough not to drag the prestigious university into the storm, which meant the university would be less likely to step in and help me. The situation online spiraled much faster than I had anticipated. My own posts were just small ripples, but these trending headlines created a tidal wave. Influencers on Facebook and Instagram reposted the story, spreading it like wildfire. To make matters worse, Chloe posted a video using her real name, tearfully accusing me of being the rapist and claiming that the school and even Peking University were trying to cover for me. And in this twisted narrative, the real perpetrator, Mark, was painted as a hero who had tried to intervene and help her. Things were spiraling out of control, but compared to my past life, I was much calmer. So they had learned to be smarter and avoided implicating the university. That didn't mean I was out of options. I used my time after evening self-study and after school to contact many of my classmates who had a strong sense of justice. I interviewed them, gathering written statements from over 100 students, all attesting to my character and innocence. Many of these classmates, upon learning the full story, waged fierce online battles against those spreading the lies. For these passionate students, this wasn't just about me being falsely accused. It was an attack on the reputation of our school and every student in it. This time I was determined to let the world see who the real victim was. It was almost midnight when I finally got home, only to find a strange man waiting for me. He introduced himself as Mr. Han, the father of the child my dad had saved all those years ago. He had heard about my situation and had come to offer his help. My dad, feeling helpless and seeing no other way out, had reluctantly agreed to let him assist. Mr. Han was clearly a man of significant influence. The car he drove was something my father could never afford in 1,000 lifetimes of selling sausages. He listened carefully as I recounted everything that had happened, had someone record my entire statement, and assured me that he would do everything in his power to help me resolve this. The very next morning, I received a call from Peking University. They told me that someone had informed them of the situation and had provided them with a great deal of evidence. "If you need legal assistance, please let us know," the voice on the phone said. I thanked them profusely, a wave of relief washing over me. With the help of Mr. Han and the backing of Peking University, everything was finally starting to move in the right direction. When I arrived at school, some students were still pointing and whispering, but I believed it was only a small minority who were still swayed by the online smear campaign. During the lunch break, Chloe suddenly approached me, saying she wanted to talk. I knew she was planning some new scheme. I smiled coldly and said, "You've already dumped a bucket of filth on me. What other tricks could you possibly want to play?" She met my gaze, her own eyes hard. "If you don't want this to keep escalating beyond your control, you'd better talk to me." I curled my lips into a smirk. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of what looked like Mark's figure lurking in the distance. Without letting on that I'd seen him, I said calmly, "Fine, let's talk." She led me to a secluded area behind the gym, a place with no security cameras. She cut straight to the chase. "Take out your phone. I want to make sure you're not recording or filming this." I wasn't recording, but I had just sent a text message. I showed her my phone's home screen. She smiled smugly, looking down at me as if I were a bug. "All right, let's skip the nonsense. As long as you admit to everything and compensate me with 1,000,000 yuan, I'll agree to let you off the hook." I laughed. "And why would I agree to that?" Her smile vanished. "Unless you want to keep getting doxxed and have your dad live in fear with you for the rest of his life. I'll tell you straight. If you keep resisting, I'll make sure neither of you can survive in this town, and you can forget about going to Peking University." I sneered. Quite the threat. But I've always been curious. Why are you so obsessed with framing me? Is it just because you needed a scapegoat, and I happen to be a powerless kid with a father who sells sausages, so I deserve to have my life ruined by you? She burst out laughing, a harsh, ugly sound that went on for a while. "You're actually asking me that. Do I need a reason to hate you?" I insisted. "There must be a reason." She narrowed her eyes, the hatred in them palpable. "Back in our freshman year, I confessed my feelings to you, and you completely ignored me. You made me the laughingstock of the entire class. Isn't that reason enough?" I had to think hard for a moment to even remember the incident. "Are you talking about that time after the freshman representative speech? You blocked my way and I told you to move because I had a stomachache and really needed to use the restroom." Her face twisted with rage. "You ignored me! The school bell! Do you have any idea how humiliated I was?" "Oh, and there's another reason I want to destroy you," she added with a cruel smile. Mark promised me a lot of money. With that money, I won't have to worry about failing my college entrance exams. That made sense. Her art scores had barely scraped by, but her academic grades were abysmal. All her subjects combined barely added up to my math score alone. With that money, she continued, her eyes gleaming with ambition, I can pursue my artistic dreams. I'll sign with the Kim family's entertainment company and become a superstar. I can even marry Mark and become the Kim group's future daughter-in-law. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. You actually think a truly powerful family would ever let their heir marry a woman like you? Her face fell. What do you mean by that? A woman with poor grades who frames her classmates and has absolutely no moral compass. Do you really think the Kim family elders would ever accept someone like you into their family? Her expression froze, then contorted with fury. Mark already promised me. I'm going to be his girlfriend. After the exams, his company is going to sign me. My innocence is already gone, so demanding a little compensation isn't too much to ask, is it? I shook my head. Why do you think you can win the heart of a rapist? Because you're pretty? In the circles of the wealthy, the one thing they have an endless supply of is pretty girls. Once he gets bored of you, you'll be left with nothing, and you will pay the price for what you've done to me. She scoffed. Screw your karma. I've never believed in karma. I only believe that money can make the world go round. She crossed her arms, her eyes filled with disdain. Look at yourself now. Aren't you the best proof of that? I shook my head, suddenly tired of the whole conversation. Since we can't come to an agreement, you can keep dreaming your little daydreams. Goodbye. I turned to leave. Who said you could leave? She shrieked. She let out a strange, high-pitched laugh, then suddenly tore open the front of her own white blouse and screamed toward the distance. Help! Leo is trying to assault me again. Help! Somebody save me! So this was her final, desperate game. Just as she screamed, Mark jumped out from behind a nearby building, rushing toward us with his phone held up, recording. He moved to stand protectively in front of Chloe, shaking his phone in my face. Leo attempted to assault Chloe again. I have solid evidence this time. What do you have to say for yourself now? I looked from him to her. So you're both putting on a show together, huh? Mark sneered. So what if we are? Your family has no power and no connections. What can you do? But my family is different. We, the Kim Group, are a listed company. We're powerful, with connections everywhere. I could destroy you, and no one would dare say a single word. I smiled faintly. Aren't you underestimating the law just a bit too much? Huh, the law? He scoffed. I, Mark Kim, am the law. You'll pay the price for your arrogance, I said quietly. Screw your price. I'm calling the police right now. You won't get away this time. Mark waved his phone, about to make the call, when a booming voice cut through the air from nearby. What are you all doing here? The dean and my homeroom teacher had both arrived. Before I had met Chloe, I had sent a text message to the dean asking him to come to this location in a few minutes. As I had hoped, he had come, and he had brought my teacher with him. Mark and Chloe exchanged a panicked glance, then quickly composed themselves. Mark said sternly, Director, just now, Leo tried to assault Chloe again, but I caught him in the act. Don't worry, I've already recorded the evidence. He won't escape this time. Chloe clutched her torn clothes, playing the part of the traumatized victim perfectly. Yes, Mark is right, she sobbed. That's exactly what happened. Leo is so terrifying. He tried to rape me again. I don't want to live anymore. A voice cut her off. If you don't want to live, you can go die. Chloe's mouth dropped open in shock. I calmly pulled a small voice recorder out of a hidden pocket in my pants. I've recorded everything you and Mark just acted out. I also recorded it, the dean said, holding up his phone. On the screen was a clear video of the entire setup. Chloe glared at us, cornered and furious. I knew it. The dean has been biased toward Leo all along. This proves it. You two have been working together to trap me, haven't you?" The dean's voice was like ice. "I am only standing on the side of justice." With both video and audio evidence, it was impossible for them to twist the facts any further. I immediately called the police. At the same time, Mr. Hahn had managed to retrieve the dashcam footage from a car parked near the scene of the original incident. It clearly showed that the attacker was Mark, and the victim was Chloe. On the day of the trial, Peking University's legal team defended me. They not only cleared me of all charges, but also forced Chloe and Mark to issue a public apology and pay a significant sum for emotional damages. The truth was finally out. The two police officers who had tried to coerce me were also severely punished. I was officially proven to have been nothing more than a passerby who never even witnessed the assault. It was revealed that after being attacked by Mark, Chloe, under pressure from the powerful Kim family, had repeatedly and maliciously framed me, staged false scenes, and attempted to ruin my life. The fallout was immense. Mark was nicknamed Clown Boy by the public and shot to the top of the trending searches. Netizens furiously condemned both him and Chloe, doxing their families and gathering outside their homes to shout curses and throw rotten vegetables. Their parents didn't dare step outside for weeks. Chloe was sentenced to prison for false accusation and extortion. Mark was also sentenced for rape. The scandal spiraled, severely damaging the Kim Group's reputation. Mark's parents publicly announced that they were severing all ties with their son, but it wasn't enough. Less than 3 months later, the Kim Group was investigated for massive tax evasion, a food poisoning scandal at one of their hotels, and several other serious issues. The company's stock plummeted, and the once mighty corporation was completely ruined. Meanwhile, I was already a student at Peking University, starting my new life. I was deeply grateful for my father's act of bravery all those years ago. Without it, I would never have received Mr. Hahn's help when I needed it most. I later learned that the young boy my father had saved was actually the dean's nephew. It seemed that good and evil really do get their just rewards. I decided that I wouldn't let what Chloe did scare me away from helping others in the future. But from now on, whenever I chose to help someone, I would make sure to leave some kind of evidence, a way to not only save others, but also protect myself from false accusations. The world can be a dark place, but I still believe it is a beautiful one.